So today we have a video that has been on my mind for a minute, and the thing is, I've heard rumblings like through the grapevine. I've heard things and it was already kind of putting me off, and I just feel like more people need to talk about it because there are definitely some people out there that, one, blaming the young girl involved in this, defending the guy because they love his content and they don't want to stop watching him. So now they're doing the whole like, not even separate the art from the artist, but just almost acting like nothing has happened or it's not a big deal because they want to watch his content, which is even more disgusting. And his fans have been doing this for a minute. I'm kind of sick of it. And the thing is, I was a massive fan of Cody Ko. It's about Cody Ko, spoiler alert, even though it's in the title and thumbnail. I was a massive fan of him and I've been watching his content for years now, obviously just like everyone else literally on planet Earth. But now, like, I still haven't unsubscribed. I think I was waiting for him to like post something about it, but I guess he hasn't, and I haven't clicked on a single video in my subscription box because I just feel icky about it. And I think everyone else should too, but people are not feeling icky about it just because it's to do with Tana Mongeau, who people think just like almost deserves it or is asking for it, or we know what she acts like so she probably wanted it, and it's just like the most disgusting. And I didn't even expect the people that watch Cody Ko to have those opinions, but it I guess makes sense considering who Cody Ko is as a person, allegedly, so it makes sense that his fans would also have those opinions. But a lot of his fans are like girls that would, you know, in any other situation, if this was anyone else, cancelled, sent to hell, sent to prison, but because it's Cody Ko, it's like, oh well, maybe because the sun was in this position in the sky and it was this bit of the moon cycle, maybe that, and Mercury was in red, and it's just like so many excuses that the air was thick and the sun was out and the weather was bad, and suddenly we have, oh, I can still watch Cody Ko because actually what he did wasn't that bad. But you guys let me know what you think, and if you're a massive Cody Ko fan and are somehow justifying his behavior, then I guess I just want to know why, you know? Like, why do you think that is okay? Subscribe with the bell icon for engagement. Let's just get into it. For a while, there have been rumblings that Tana Mongeau and Cody Ko had slept together when she was kind of first coming through to LA. And they did this collab, right, where people thought that he was being really creepy with her, quite frankly. Yeah, the video ever featuring Cody Ko. So I think people are talking about this part of the video mainly. This is from her version of this collab 8 years ago, where he is quite obviously staring at her ass as she's walking off.
Alright, so...
And the thing is, what I guess breaks my heart about this is she looks so young in this, and apparently they hooked up around this time, but she looks so young in this. Like, when I look at her, she's just a baby, and that's coming from me, a 24-year-old. He was 25 in this, allegedly, like when they hooked up around this time. So he was 25, she was 17. Bear in mind also, the age of consent in California is 18 apparently. Yeah, anyone under the age of 18 cannot legally consent to any sexual activity. Great. But yeah, so she looks so young in this. Like, I remember myself when I was 17 and I was just such a baby. And yeah, it's just interesting and allegedly criminal. But anyway, there have been rumblings around that they hooked up around that time. And there have been a few proofs of that. Actually, in Spill Sesh's video, she shows the old podcast that they used to have, like kind of cancelled but before the revamp, and she talked about it then.
And that's not right. That's not correct. I know now. I was 17 at the time, 18. Like, that's not what you do, but at the time it was just like, oh, you think I'm this and you're treating me and calling me all these names and treating me really horribly and like using me for a lot of money and like...
If you're gonna say I'm cheating, okay, I'm gonna cheat.
And it's like, if you're using me for mad money and making me buy hella shit for you and like, you know, forcing me to fly out to you just to be like super emotionally and like psychotically like, shit, okay, bet. And so I started kind of hooking up with other people. Shout out JC Kalen, shout out Cody Ko.
Don't.
Oh, Jesus.
And she does say in there, I was 17, 18, but I think she starts with 17 and this is 18 to soften the blow because they were all in California. But now it has come out that she was 17 at the time. This is obviously alleged. I have to say that, I guess. But yeah, it has been going on Reddit. People have been talking about it, but obviously fans of Cody Ko are super massive fans of him, so they will not allow anyone to speak negatively of him because apparently he's like the golden child of YouTube. He's a golden boy, and it's just icky. And the thing is, he used to be in a frat. He was a frat boy. I don't know why we expected anything else. And it gets worse. The story actually does get worse. So yeah, I'm kind of off the Cody Ko hype train. I know this is very like, oh, you're so fickle. You just, I've had enough. I've had enough. It's okay. I've had enough. Tana and Brooke, obviously, they had the cancelled tour recently, and I've seen a few clips of the cancelled tour, but there was this clip that went kind of big. People started reposting on Reddit because they talk about, and she confirms on stage, that she did in fact hook up with Cody Ko when she was 17, allegedly. So here's the clip of the live show from Spill Sesh's video again.
Who's the smallest dick you've ever had sex with?
Oh my god, do no one look at me, Cody Ko.
Delete the videos.
I can say that. I was literally 17. I can say that. What? Sorry.
Delete the videos.
Oh my god, I wasn't here.
I'm like, we need to get like a Cody Ko reacts video to that.
No, stop. I think it's the diarrhea. I'm just unfiltered right now.
I can say that I was literally 17. So now we've gone from her trying to soften the blow back then, saying, oh, I was 17, 18, to now just being like, I can say you had a small dick because I was 17 and you were actually committing a crime. So me saying you have a small dick is probably the least of your concerns. And yeah, I just find it ironic that some people are still defending him. So when you go on Reddit, on the LA influencer snark 25 days ago, Tana Mongeau just confirmed her and Cody Ko hooked up when she was a minor. During a podcast tour, she confirmed that her and Cody Ko had sex when she was 17 and he was 25. So he was 1 year older than me. I can't even look at 17-year-olds without being like, you're a baby. Because I even remember what I was like when I was 17. Like, even if we ignore the fact that it's illegal in California, because for example, the UK, the age of consent is 16. So technically she was a year over the age of consent here. But places like California, the age of consent is 18. So like on paper, this is obviously a crime. But even here, where the age of consent is 16, I can't look at a 17-year-old and be like, I'm attracted to you, because I'm not. That's a baby. 18, 19, even 20 is a baby to me. At 24, I mean, I think 24 is my limit. It is also well known that he is buds with a from Duke University, where he obviously went. I think Cody Ko is funny, but he seems to have a very scumbag past. So Google Colby Leachman Duke if you want to read about the case. This guy roofied a girl and filmed himself and his friend assaulting her. Then he went around showing his frat brothers. I don't know if him and Cody were in the same frat, but there is no excuse. And why is that an issue? Because this Colby Leachman guy was at Cody Ko's wedding, and I believe he was one of his groomsmen. Yeah, so LA influencer snark 2 months ago. Cody Ko had a at his wedding party. So Cody Ko had an accused at his wedding party. I saw some chatter online about Cody being friends with an accused. I wanted to look into it myself before I made any judgments and found this article. This is from the News and Observer. Judge dismisses lawsuit against Duke stemming from allegations. So they only dismissed the lawsuit, right, against Duke, the university. Federal judge has dismissed a lawsuit against Duke University filed by a former student who claimed Duke's response to an alleged was inadequate and created a hostile educational environment. The former student, Ariana Kayumi, sued Duke, claiming that the university violated her rights under the federal Title IX law. She claimed that she was drugged and raped by 2 students in 2011 and that one of them videotaped her being assaulted. Kayumi contended the university was deliberately indifferent and negligent in its response, ultimately leading her to transfer to another school. So one of the men accused was a son of a Duke professor and a stepson of the former Duke provost, Peter Lange. But the judge, Catherine Eagles, found that there was not undue influence by the parents on the process conducted by Duke. The 2 accused former students, Colby Leachman, who is obviously the friend of Cody Ko's, and Brian Self, said the contact was consensual. They were not criminally charged and were not found responsible for misconduct during Duke disciplinary proceedings. On 2 occasions, Duke police took evidence to Durham district attorney, who declined to prosecute. But then in 2012, she told Brian she wanted to initiate a disciplinary case. The court document said, but it wasn't until 2013 when she submitted a written statement describing non-consensual contact and unauthorized recording. Duke's Office of Student Conduct initiated disciplinary proceedings against the men and hired a clinical psychologist to investigate. So Leachman entered a plea of responsibility that he violated Duke's policy with regards to unauthorized surveillance and photography. He was placed on probation. And then disciplinary proceedings were not launched by Duke until 2 years after the incident. And then it also says in this Reddit thing that although the case accusing Duke of mishandling the aftermath was dropped, the judge said that reasonable people might well think that the more serious consequences would have been appropriate for the 2 accused students who, even under their own version of the facts, behaved horribly to Miss Kayumi and at least 1 other woman. So even if you don't believe that they committed a crime because you're sick in the head, like even the judge is saying, even according to their own facts, their story of how things went down, they still look like horrible people, even if they don't look like criminals. And then according to her version of the story, they sound like criminals. So it's either they're just horrible people and they treat women like shit, or they're criminals. Either way, probably not someone you want to hang out with. But here is a picture of them together, posted by someone else, and it says, best birthday weekend celebrating someone, I love our friends. And then Kelsey actually says, I love you so, so much. So they're all interacting on this. Cody Ko likes this post. And then it was posted on YouTube Drama as well, that same thing 2 months ago. And someone says, this is potentially mean, but I avoid men who are in fraternities because the likelihood that they either are a racist or are friends with a racist feels way higher than a normal dude. Cody Ko and Kelsey are friends with a racist. You can look up Cody Ko, Colby Leakman, and find more information about it. It is super disappointing. Dude was a groomsman in Cody and Kelsey's wedding, so yeah. And they said, oh wow, I didn't even know that part. So I'm not saying you're lying at all, but do you happen to have proof that Colby was in his wedding party? I've been looking all over with no luck. And then he says he was in some of wedding photo carousels that Cody posted of his groomsmen, and Colby was in one groomsman suit. Kelsey possibly posted pics too, but I can't remember for sure. Of course, they were posted soon after their wedding, so I wouldn't be surprised if they've deleted the ones with Colby in them, given more people are becoming aware of Cody's link to a convicted. That's where I'd suggest you to look though. Cody, Kelsey, and Noel all followed him too as of the end of 2023. The carousels were posted on Instagram for clarification. And they were also friends and in the same frat at the time. The court documents stated Colby showed some of his frat boys the video. There's a probability Cody even saw the video. I mean, this guy was his best man at his wedding. They've probably been close friends since they were in a frat together. So, yeah, we have that. And then obviously on the cancelled subreddit, 25 days ago, Tana confirmed Cody Ko slept with her underage. This was right after the show, and then the videos of it started coming out. So this has been rumbling around for a while. She goes on the Just Trish podcast and talks about it.
It's just so
You
good.
could do a remix to that with your recent scandal.
I might. Oh my God.
The follow-up.
It's like they call themselves Tiny Meat Gang.
I
and
mean-
everyone's mad at me.
Yeah. It's hard to with you girls because I just feel like everyone just takes things like they just like really look things under a microscope with you guys. Like, you know what I mean? They can't just, and it's also because it's you. We're talking about this on Hot Topics, like, because it's you. People are just like, oh, it's Tana. She's always, you know, like they're always like drama or beefing with someone, and it's just like it's just not that. You know what I mean? Which like it's so annoying.
I know. That's what I was talking about yesterday. As I was like. Well, it's I have like so many thoughts on this whole situation, you know what I mean? And I was first talking about like trauma, and I don't know if you do this. I wonder if you relate to this, but like there's a lot of things I look back on that I think would maybe traumatize. I love how serious we just got.
Yeah, I know. I want to finish The Smallest Man in the World, but we'll go back. I got it in my brain, okay?
That like would maybe traumatize the average person more, but you've been through things that are so much more detrimental that you can kind of look back at these things and they don't really feel traumatizing.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like, and that was kind of the situation I was in and like my perspective on it. But then I was like, but at the same time, like if I had a 17-year-old daughter or a little sister or something, like I would kill.
Yeah.
You know, so then it's like
Same, yeah.
It's hard in that regard. But the thing that was actually really heartbreaking to me and kind of crazy to me is after it started going viral, like seeing so many people like not believing me and being like, it's Tana, so who cares? It's this. And then I just started to feel bad for so many other girls who maybe look up to me and want to speak their truth and then see the way people like just don't believe people. And it's like, I've never really I've always had people not believe like things, but I don't know why this one just like hits different.
So you can see Tana kind of isn't traumatized by it. What she's actually saying is like so much shit has happened to me that's been way worse than this. So this is like the lowest priority tier, lowest level. But she was like, if someone else had gone through it, or another 17-year-old I was talking to, or was mentoring, or my daughter was 17, or some kind of a family member, then she would obviously be ready to kill because she understands that it's illegal, wrong, traumatizing, grooming, all sorts of different things. But to her, it's like the lowest concern. And I feel like because she's being, and I'm not putting this on her, obviously she's allowed to think about this how she wants and speak about this how she wants. But I think because she's not taking it super seriously and is kind of being like, this is the least of my priorities right now, a lot of people are looking at it and being like, well, if Tana's not mad, why should we be upset? And I want to move away from that because just because she's saying this isn't something that traumatized me doesn't mean it's not wrong and it's not a crime and that he's not a bad person for it. So I think we need to separate that out a little bit. She finally spoke about it on the cancelled podcast right at the end with Paige, which she was talking about in this video.
I don't know what's happening in life right now with the universe, but I'm learning a lesson once again that I've learned so many times about I can't just be saying shit. And I don't want to blame myself here for this situation, but it's like I'm now in this position to have to address it because there I went again saying, you know, and it's just a classic case of I say something fleeting in the ways that I say something, and then it is taken very seriously because I'm usually trauma dumping and breadcrumbing with a giggle. That's always how I've just dealt with shit or made light of shit. Like I'm just the type of person who does say things in a very like flippant manner, and then it's like, oh, no, nobody else is laughing. We were on tour. We were saying a bunch of shit. on stage in a bunch of different games, and we thought we could trust the people as we had the whole tour. However, I understand that this isn't just some crazy tea. It was a crime. I hooked up with Cody Ko when I was 17 and he was 25. Yeah, it happened. And I think that, first of all, I'm trying to think about it from a perspective of like a younger sister or someone that I really care about. Even the other day, like I was texting just about her life and everything that's going on in her life right now. And I thought to myself, like, how protective I was over her, especially before she was 18.
Obviously, it's kind of similar things to the Just Church podcast. Like, she's once again not super traumatized by it, and she says outright, I was 17, he was 25. Bear in mind, age of consent, California, 18, like I said. Now, Tana Mongeau right now is 26, so it's as if a year ago she would have hooked up with a 17-year-old. And oh my god, people also search for... Google's being so shady. Cody Ko's 33 right now, so... and he just had a kid. At least it's a baby boy. We wouldn't want him having a daughter. Or maybe that would have, that typical trope of like, certain men don't understand crimes against women unless they have a daughter, because then they're like, oh my god, if anyone did that to my daughter. But I think because he's going to have a boy, I don't know what that son's going to grow up to behave like.
Something like that was happening to her. I would never let it fly. Well, you know what I mean?
It's honestly disgusting. And I also think when you're that age, you think you know everything and you think you're way more mature than you actually are. Mm-hmm. And then from our age now, we can look at it in hindsight's 2020 and it's like, oh my god, you were a child.
Yeah.
Yes, that's another thing of like, well, he says I'm so mature for my age. That's the typical, and once again, we're not blaming young girls for falling for this stuff, because the whole point of grooming and manipulating is that it works. Otherwise, nothing would come off it. Oh, you're so mature for your age and you have an old soul and all that stuff, that all works. And so obviously back then she didn't think it was a big deal. Now she doesn't think it's a big deal because, like I said, more crap's happened to her. But yeah, it is a big deal. So I want people to treat it as such.
I think a lot of things like that happened to me as well, because I really did have to grow up severely at a really young age.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like by the time I was 16, I truly was just like, even when it came down to knowledge and wisdom and everything, I was a 21-year-old.
You were forced to grow up so early.
And because of that, a lot of ended up happening to me that probably shouldn't have happened, right?
That's another thing. It's like she could have actually been mature for her age. It doesn't take away from the age of consent or from Cody Ko being a disgusting person, right? But yeah, she probably did think at the time, I am mature for my age. I did go through a lot of and it made me grow. And there tends to be this pattern where if there is some kind of a sexual crime or something, it usually happens to people who already are traumatized by something else, because they're maybe easier to manipulate. And we see that a lot in true crime cases as well, where the victims will typically have like a really awful backstory, because then they are seeking that validation somewhere else. And it doesn't obviously make Cody Ko good. I'm saying that as in like it's a bad thing. He obviously saw this broken 17-year-old who just got into money and got into fame and was able to escape a really traumatizing childhood. And the first thing he does is hook up with her. I don't know.
I think that I also have a really bad case of to be 100% truthful, when I look back at the Cody situation, I definitely am like, why was he doing that? You know what I mean? And there were so many situations. There was a situation with Gabby Hannah at a Playlist Live where she pulled him aside and told him like, yo, she's 17. And then we still went and hooked up. And I can look at that and be like,
my camera stopped recording. Tana just said something really important, that Gabby Hannah actually called him out at the time when they were at Playlist Live, and then they went on to still hook up. So he had someone his age, essentially, because how old is Gabby Hannah? She's 33, so she's literally Cody Ko's age. So at the time she was 25, he was 25. So a fellow 25-year-old came up to him and said, you are disgusting, why are you hooking up with a minor? And he then grabbed Tana Mongeau and went and hooked up with her. Like, you literally had someone telling you, you're about to commit a crime. Stop. Like, why did Gabby Hannah have all this sense at 25 and he just didn't? What is going on?
But there isn't a part of me, at least at 25 now. I mean, I look back and I would never do anything like that. So I'm like, what the fuck was wrong with you?
Yeah.
But I don't associate or hold it with trauma, because I am such a comparative person where I'm like, so many worse things have happened to me. And that's bad.
I was just about to say, you can't do that to yourself though.
Like, but I genuinely feel that way. Like it feels like all of the other people I hooked up with when I was 18, whether they were 30 or whether they were not 30 and they were my age and they were whatever. Like, I was just in a place of life, especially the circles and world I was surrounded in Vegas and then coming to LA. Like, those are, if you're in the wrong realms, those can be very sexual places.
Yeah.
And like, I was just hooking up with people and having so much fun. And like, that's the way my mind, because I grew up loving him. And I think you know what I mean? Like, I was just like excited and a fan and like.
Oh, and the fact that she was a fan as well. It's just like, it's so crazy. It's so crazy.
And I understand that that's where now as a grown adult, you can say you were taken advantage of. But like, I don't feel any of those emotions towards it. So that's why it's like, it's much easier to be like, go crucify someone when you feel those emotions.
Of course.
You know?
And I mean, whether or not you feel like that now, and I mean, at the time too, even though you felt way more mature than you act, like than your age, you were 17, like even though you felt grown and everything, like, and you didn't, at that time, it's like, you don't really know what you're doing and like, you don't really think it's wrong. But again, it's like, he was 25. He should have known better.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's like, I think where I settle on.
I'm kind of glad Paige is there to bring the nuance into it, because she's saying what Tana should, put that in quotation marks. There's nothing that Tana should or shouldn't be feeling in this moment. It's her, you know, her thoughts and feelings, but like the almost legally correct opinion is coming from Paige, and I'm just glad she's there to bring that nuance, because someone could be watching this right now, a fellow 17-year-old, and once again, I'm not putting this on Tana Mongeau before someone's like, you're victim blaming. No. I'm just saying there could be a 17-year-old that feels like, well, if Tana's not traumatized by it, then I won't be either, and I can go on to date this 25-year-old. So I'm glad Paige is there to say, you are valid to feel that way, but also if you're 17 and watching this, please don't fall for the 25-year-old saying that you're just mature for your age. So I'm glad she's there to bring that nuance back into it.
Because I have my feelings towards it, right? And like, I'm expressing those right now. And I said that on stage very much so as just I was being jokey about it and whatever, right? And it's almost like the public's reaction to this has made me feel 10 different types of ways that I didn't feel before. Like, I have seen so many comments of people like on some like, but what was she wearing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On some like, well, it's Tana Mongeau. And like, isn't that crazy?
That's so
like,
fucked up.
Because I really like, you know how I feel towards it, but now seeing all of these people like not believe me and say, well, what if she's lying or she's this and she's that and she's dramatic? First of all, there's nothing, I would never lie about that. Like, I'm not going to put an allegation on anyone, like, ever like that, obviously. But then I just like, I feel so bad for all of these young girls, because then they see that and then it makes them not want to come forward. And then I am like, wow, everyone.
Cody Ko's clearly not a great guy. Like, clearly. I don't know how else we can phrase this, how else we can say this, how else we can spin this story, cut it up into a square, circle, and a star. Like, it is what it is, and it fits into what it fits into, and he's just not a great guy. And now when I see his face, I feel just so much disgust and so much ick. And even if Tana isn't traumatized, I'm glad. Like, I'm glad she's not traumatized, because how awful would that be if that was just another thing added on to the trauma dump? If she feels, like, okay about it, that's great. It doesn't make him any better of a person just because she doesn't feel traumatized by it, because he still committed a crime, allegedly. Don't sue me. He is deleting comments. Tana Mongeau seems to have like her name blocked in his comment section, and on his Reddit, obviously he's got like a Reddit where he'll do these videos where he reacts to his Reddit. Obviously people can post like memes there and jokes and stuff, and people have been posting about it there, and it has been getting deleted by the moderators. And apparently one of his moderators, or the only moderator, don't know how many he has, but it's someone that works for him, so obviously they're going to delete that. And then he did allegedly block her name from his comment section, so when you click on his videos, it looks like there is nothing going on. He's still been posting every single day, not even an inkling of anything. And now, I don't know if you guys remember, he's not very keen to address situations. There was that Vine that he once posted where he said the N-word like 20 times, and the way he apologized was on his Patreon. And I understand that it was in the free tier, so you can still read it even if you weren't a paying member. The fact that it was on Patreon, of all places, yeah, so the way I see him addressing this is not addressing it at all, because he is not someone who addresses stuff. And I've had a slightly icky feeling about him for a while, but I feel like everyone was just over it. If you dared to speak against him online, you were crucified. I remember at the time when the N-word thing happened, people tried to make videos about him, and they were being cancelled themselves for daring to speak on the king. Like, I'm not going to pretend that this is all okay, because it's not. I wonder if anyone's saying anything on like Twitter or something. Got banned from the Cody Ko sub because I posted this. Been a member for like 5 years and a fan of his for 9 years. Very cool. Hello, you have been permanently banned from participating in the Cody Ko because of your post, and it violates the rules. What rules? Calling out the king? Oh, I forgot about this. So the fact that Cody Ko messages Tana saying, "Are we good?" because the wedding is coming up. This was, I think, in this episode of Cancelled.
How much people love him. Like,
I know.
It makes me feel so sorry for any real victims of people that are really loved by people, because
they still get, at the end of the day, they get their platform. He's gonna be just fine. He's posted up in a mansion.
Yes, this is another thing. It's like, as long as you're disliked, you can get cancelled, right? But if you are liked, you can do the same and 10 times worse, and you'll be just fine. You will continue to post videos, people will continue to watch your videos and make excuses for you. The parasocial relationship of it all is crazy.
I know for a fact if you swapped out Cody Ko with someone that like people didn't like that much,
I
would be receiving so much more sympathy versus like the amount of people in this industry who like want to protect him and are like talking to me in a way where it's like they, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Or even just friends like, but I love him. Like, you know what I mean? The thing is like, I still watch his videos.
Which friend said that to her? Which friend? Own up, put your hand up right now. Which friend?
It would be easier and less hard if he was like
easily hateable.
Yes.
Like already just.
Yes. And that makes
unlikable.
me sad for other people in a situation like mine again. Like, and I just think about like Kelsey and the baby and whatever. There was,
oh my God.
Like there was a while ago where I think I said something about it online and it was starting to surface. And he texted me like, "Are we good?" And was like, I said, yeah. And like, he was like, "My wedding's coming up," like yada, yada, yada. And I was,
my wedding where I invited the from my frat. Give me a break.
And then now it's like all these Reddit threads, like if my name's on any thread, it's all getting deleted. Like I know it's just a weird up situation.
And she does feel bad for Kelsey, but Kelsey clearly didn't mind following this, interacting with his content on Instagram, following him, inviting him to her wedding, or at least co-signing that. Obviously she also has a say, so it wasn't like Cody Ko was like, "Hey, this friend is coming whether you want it or not." They both clearly had an input into the guest list, so I don't feel bad. I just don't. Maybe she didn't know about this. That's fine. But she knew about who they invited to their wedding and who she interacted with, and they probably hung out, because obviously you hang out with someone who you invite to your wedding, so they've probably been buds for a while, including Kelsey. And if she doesn't know about this, then maybe she should do more research. I don't see how she couldn't know about this. At least the guy who Cody was friends with. So I don't really feel that bad, but I get what Tana's saying here. And yeah, so that's that. It's pretty depressing. Let me know what you guys think. But yeah, subscribe with the bell icon for engagement. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.